So the Trump administration is now deporting Africans. Yes, Africans. So on Wednesday, there was a U.S. military plane that took off and went to Panama. And migrants from Asia and Africa were all sent packing. Now, according to Panama's foreign ministry, we are footing the bill. The United States is funding this deportation. Now, for years, the United States have been trying to send African migrants back to Africa. But it wasn't working because African countries would take the planes and send them right back to America. And we do have a lot of Africans like in the DR and Cameroon that are fleeing the countries because there's so much violence going on. So now those African countries gonna have to figure something out. Either leave their people in Panama or come get them. I said this shit during the election. It wasn't just gonna be Mexicans being deported. They was getting everybody asses out. And that included Africans. I know Africans may have thought they were safe because they look like African Americans in this country. But baby, if you don't have the birth certificate, you are fucked. My only question is, when is Elon gonna catch his flight? Because baby, you are one of them. You and your brother came here illegally. Remember, your brother said that y'all did not have papers. But I wish y'all the best of luck.
Hi guys, welcome to another video. It's Ndagire here. Thanks for clicking on this video. So, apparently some of my African people, like African people, are self-deporting themselves from the US because they cannot take it anymore. They can't stand it. They are scared. They are shaking. They rather, get themselves on the plane and leave the US than to be deported. Because, I mean, we all know if you get that deportation paper and that ban in your passport, especially the one of the US in your passport, guys, it's going to be a hassle for you to ever, travel a lot in those countries. And we all know how bad that is. But, yeah, guys, listen to this African nurse and, yeah, what she decided to do. Yeah, and, yeah, let's talk about it.
At this point, I just want to go home. I'm tired. I want to go home. Tell me why I'm hearing that people in the US are being deported. People that have lived here for 20 years. These people have social security number. I don't even know how you can do that if you don't have papers. People who have homes, who have bought houses, but no papers. People who have lived here for years upon years. I can't get my head around it. Guys, anywhere that you are, please, your documentation is number one. Don't get comfortable with the good life. Go and make sure you are documented. That's all I can say while I'm still here because, I mean, I'm not about to be questioned at the airport. But I just need to go home. I think it's enough. Yep. I'm off. I'm deporting myself before I get deported. I'm going home, guys. Please, wish me good luck. I don't have to wait to be deported. I will use my 2 leg and boom, vamos, I'm out. I deported myself. Happy now? Okay, watch out.
We'll be more than happy to help, and for those customers who have already ordered assistance to leave the aircraft, please do remain seated until the aisle around you is.
My darling people, good morning. See trouble. We need a solution to this problem. And me, I think I found the solution. Anyone that has been here for over 10 years, it's time to go. See, all of us, including me too, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go back to Africa. If you have been in this country, or if you've even been abroad anywhere, for more than 10 years, because the plan is you come, you work, you make money, you go back to Africa and invest.
So it's being reported that the Trump administration has deported African and Asian migrants to Panama. Now, this is the first of its kind under the Trump administration. Marco Rubio had gone around Latin America to make deals with the presidents of Panama, Guatemala, El Salvador, and other countries to accept migrants from other countries. Because when a person is being deported, it should be a conversation between the two governments. But a lot of Asian and African governments don't accept their deportees. So to fast track the process, Trump is just sending migrants to other countries. And on that flight, there were also citizens from Afghanistan, China, India, Iran, Uzbekistan. They were families with children. And on a flight that went out today, there were more Asian migrants, African deportees, including migrants from Cameroon. Trump is bypassing all norms, now respecting people's rights, and just sending people who have made their life in the U.S. to another country. This practice is inhumane. And this practice is going to happen more often after Marco Rubio made so many deals for Latin American countries to take in migrants.
So the US is officially deporting people to countries they don't have citizenship in, have never been to, don't know anyone in, don't have legal status in, and they're putting them in one of the most dangerous areas in that country. And mainstream media is making this seem like this isn't, at minimum, legally questionable with both US and international law. So today, a flight left an Air Force base in California with more than 100 migrants, including families, who had entered the United States illegally from Afghanistan, China, Pakistan, and Uzbekistan. They arrived in Panama, just outside Panama City, but the Panama president, Molino, said they were being housed in a local hotel and would be moved to a shelter in Darien. That would be near the Darien Gap. Now, it seems the goal is for Panama just to be a stopping point before getting them back to their countries of origin. But considering that the reason they were deported to Panama is because their original countries won't take them back, I don't really have a ton of confidence in that. And the flights are funded by the United States to get them back home eventually. Allegedly. And if you remember, El Salvador and Guatemala have already agreed to accept migrant deportees from the United States who are not from El Salvador or Guatemala. Another military flight is scheduled to Panama on Thursday, tomorrow, and that will be deporting more Asian migrants in addition to some African deportees who are apparently largely from Cameroon. This is from the New York Times, but the CBS article does almost the exact same thing. When talking about these deportation flights, they're talking about it in this could herald a new front in Mr. Trump's efforts to conduct mass removals of unauthorized immigrants. Like this isn't a huge problem. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but let me do my best to put my little hat on here. This is incredibly, at minimum, questionable. One is the principle of non-refoulement, which under international human rights law, the principle of non-refoulement guarantees that no one should be returned to a country where they would face torture, cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment and other irreparable harm. Now, I'm not saying Panama is going to be doing anything directly to these people, but putting them in Darien, in a very small village in Darien, is likely going to be a very dangerous situation. The Darien Gap is about 60 miles that stretches in between Panama and Colombia's border. Not only is it not very developed, like I don't even believe there are roads in this area. It's very rugged terrain, swamps, rainforests, mountains. This is the one area the Pan American Highway does not run through. Robbery, human trafficking, and essay by the traffickers are very, very common in the Darien Gap, especially for migrants who are crossing it. They're not very friendly to migrants in the area. I also think it raises questions around the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that was passed by the UN in 1948. Specifically, Article 9, no one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. And Article 13, everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the border of each state, and everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and return to his country. But even more than that, I think there are questions around due process and, one, how these immigrants were selected for this, how they were chosen, where they were found, did they have any court proceedings, was there due process? Everyone in the United States has a right to due process. With this and then the other news that came out today that they are taking military funds away from each of the branches of the armed services and putting it into fully staffing Guantanamo, I don't want to see media just saying, oh, like, look what happened, no context, no deeper thought. Presenting this information like it's normal or okay is completely unacceptable.
I shared videos of how Africans were happy about the elect president of the US, and they were like, yeah, we love this man because he's open, he's honest, he's able to say what he feels like, and he fights for his country. But then ever since he got on that seat, the things that he's been doing, the chaos that he's caused, unbelievable. And I don't understand why Africans were supporting him that much. Maybe because they thought he's going to be like of good interest for the African continent, which in my head I'm like, really? When has the US ever had a leader that has a good interest in what happens in the African continent? Because let's face it, I always say all the time, we feed them, we give them everything, we give them everything that they need to live in their countries. That's facts. Yes, they might produce these things, but the raw materials, the raw things are from the African continent. So when I used to see, the Africans that were happy about this leader, and now it has reached a time when now Africans have to like really get on flights and leave the US, where we've always been taught, we've always been preached, like, you know, you need to go to the US, it's the American dream, you have to go and chase it, which I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. Like, a lot of our people, I have family in the US, you know, a lot of my people are in the US. They are thriving there, and I must give it to them. But when Africans have to decide to come back home with the resilience that we have, with the efforts and everything that we put in to go to the US, because guys, an African to go to the US, guys, you have to put in a lot. They ask you for your birth certificate, they ask you for your ties of the country, they ask you for your financial status. If you're single, if you are single, you go cry, you go suffer, because you don't have anything to show up for that you're gonna come back. Like, it's that crazy. They literally interrogate you like you are gonna be like the worst criminal ever in their country. And that's what we've been facing all this time and still face. So for really an African to decide and be like, you know what, I need to go back home, like I cannot take this, I have to go home, that should really show us as Africans that nowhere and no place is safer and amazing than home. This is why I always encourage, like, us as African people to really call out our leaders, really like call out the people that are in governance to do things that are better for us in the continent, for us to be able to stay in it. Because at the end of the day, even if we go in these countries of the West, like I don't think this African nurse, you know, woke up one day, she was like, I'll deport myself, or I'll just get on a flight and go back home. I don't think she just planned that. Guys, I shared videos of some Africans that were deported. I don't think they ever in their heads thought it could happen to them, because I mean, how? But it is happening. It is happening. Now that you have to go back to your home country, where the leader of the country that you're from is also not letting your country have peace and maintain its peace and its own democracy, then what is the solution? What is the solution? It doesn't make sense that Africans have now to come back home because, of course, of the issues that are going on in the US. We still have to find these issues in our countries where we are being taken advantage of. We don't know how our resources are managed in our continent. It is really disturbing and leaves you frustrated as an African child. You're like, where should I go? Where should I be? You know, I can't stay in these people's countries. They don't want to see me there. They don't give me value. They don't see me as worth. And I also come back home and there's nothing to show up for, because people sell their properties, guys. I've seen people sell their properties, like land, you know, people selling their houses, people getting loans, big, huge chunks of loans, just to go and chase that American dream. But in a time now where, you know, we are getting kicked out, where should we run to? Where should we run to? So we really need to put a lot of effort and energy in pushing a struggle, or pushing like a movement to these African leaders. Like, oh my God, I can't even stress enough. Like, these people will leave you wondering, like, how is an African child supposed to have like a positive life if everywhere we go, there is no peace for us, even in our own homes? Even in our own homes, like, this is really scary. And so for every African that was like happy, you know, like, this man is in seat and is going to do better for, you know, the world in some way or whatever, put it in the back of your mind that as a leader of the US, and the US that has always been destabilizing African countries, he will never be in the interest of African people. Never. Just like he's showing he's only for people that look like him in his own country. He's chasing out the Latinas, chasing away Africans now are being deported to Panama. And I'm like, what? Why are they being deported to those countries? Like, I thought maybe they would just be, you know, taken to their own countries, like they deported to your own country and that's good. But no, they are taking them to, you know, places that are kind of not okay. Not saying that Panama is a, you know, worst place ever, but it's kind of shady. Like, why is that even happening? Why is that even happening? So Africans, we need to do better. We need to vote better. We need to really push for the better of Africa. Otherwise, we are just going to be treated like trash for eternity. And I mean, it is the reality. It is the reality. People don't just wake up one day and choose to leave or deport themselves, but situations happen, just like with these African nuns or these people that are going through this. They never in their lives thought this could happen, but it is happening. So it is a time now to really push for the independence of Africa, for us to stay in our home, thrive in our home, build our home, and enjoy everything God ever always gave us in the motherland, because we can survive on everything that we have without any other interference from other countries, whether the Western USA or Europe, Asia, whatever. If we get good governance in Africa, if we are really, really strong on that movement of getting African independence as in general, guys, unbeatable. So I just want to send love. Like, I just want to send love to everybody going through this. It has come to Africans, and I must say it's really sad seeing this. Like, things are serious, you know, really, really getting serious. But yeah, guys, that is it for me in the video. Let me know what you think about this. What is next? Like, what is next? That's everybody's question at this point in time. Like, guys, that is it for me in the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm always posting. I'll see you in another video. Bye.